alleged breaches?
Sure, I'm
Joe,
sure
you're drinking 7-Eleven coffee again, aren't you?
Of course, it's the best coffee on the planet. It's the most underrated coffee ever.
By the way, there was a chat that was brought up earlier about the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial.
Yes.
I know.
I'm on that. If anyone wants to watch that, you can come to my channel.
I know
is strong.
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. You need to go to
it. But I'm going to be doing from soup to nuts. So, but I know Emily did say that she wanted to do some highlights.
I will do some. I'm not going to do the entire.
But if you want to see from beginning to end, come on over. I'm prepping the channel for it.
Alita, you might want to try the software. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, David.
What's the expression soup to nuts in the context of a Johnny Depp trial?
I don't know, from beginning to end.
Oh, man. As long as it's not poodles in beds. Okay.
I was going to say poop to nuts. But Alita, when is the trial?
It starts April 11th.
Do you think it'll get pushed because of the discovery stuff that's going on with the photos?
Oh, maybe. I know that's the one big question. So for anybody that doesn't know, there's like this really actually very big controversy. So, one of the big reasons why people jumped to Amber Heard's side on this was because she shared photos of herself all bruised and blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, that's a very material part of this case is Johnny Depp says, I need to be able to not just see the photos, I need to be able to see the metadata on these photos. We need to know that these photos are accurate because there have been other indications elsewhere in this lawsuit and in the Sun lawsuit, by the way, that have shown that we cannot trust these photos on their own. Like we need a forensic analysis of this. And so he's entitled to that because he has to be able to put on his case just like any other party. And so she was supposed to turn those over by late November 2021. By early March, they're coming back and they're saying, we still don't have it. We don't have shit. And then, late March even and
properly like their motion. I was shocked.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was shocked at the fuckery that's going on.
Yes.
The discovery gamesmanship. And I'm waiting for the court to issue a smackdown and just say the photos aren't coming in. But I don't think they will. I think the court will say, okay, but you need more time to do this because he's entitled to the photos and he's entitled to the metadata and you can't just question it. I mean, that's something that we're going to see so much more for people who are like, oh, I want to go to law school. I'm like, get a computer science background because how evidence works and how digital evidence works is something not all lawyers understand, which we saw in the Rittenhouse case, but there needs to be people with strong backgrounds in how this works to understand not just how it gets admitted into evidence, but also how you extract it, how you preserve it, how you analyze it. And it's a huge, digital evidence is a huge benefit and a huge problem.
You mean don't do the Rittenhouse thing and just have a cop pull video off Twitter and
pinch the zoom and just be like, no, it's
when the judge knows more about it, but says I don't know anything. Then he gave the best explanation out of anybody there of what was really going on,
which is.
But hold on,
shout out to millibytes.
These are photos. These are presumably digital photographs. They're not taken with a film camera.
Correct.
So
correct.
Just the original snapped picture on whatever device it is will give you the metadata, presumably.
Well, that hasn't.
But that can be changed. And hopefully there's a forensic trail. But you also have the police body cam footage that helps go against what she said. So there are some problems with her claims. I'll be very careful with what I say, but I think people have brought up very real questions about her veracity. I don't know. She could be, as truthful as can be, but
she took
I would not invest in her.
And if you're truthful, then why the gamesmanship?
Yes,
turning over the digital evidence because she needs it to prove her case too. She's cross-claiming him, so she's going to need that for her case as well. Why not turn it over? And then the extractions are being done with non-licensed devices, and things can't be read. And Johnny Depp's already paid, tens and tens of thousands of dollars to his forensic team. And they're like, we're out of time now to get an extraction and do a forensic analysis on it. And it seemed like that kind of gamesmanship is the goal here. But the case has been going on quite a while. I'm waiting for the judge to pop up on that. It's just going to
Alita, I was dreaming of going down to Virginia for the trial and live streaming it like the Ottawa convoy, but it's going to be open to the public, correct?
It's going to be open to the public. You can't bring in any kind of cell phones or computers or anything, though. So people will not be able to live tweet from the courtroom, but they can, when they go outside, kind of like when Joe watched.
What about Ghislaine? I thought as a journalist they could live tweet if they got that permission, or is that a New York thing?
Depends on
the
particular district court.
But how on earth? I mean, I presume this is going to be jam packed. Do you have any idea as to how they're going to determine who gets in?
They've determined one camera for a feed.
I think it's actually two, because it's like I think from what I was reading, it sounded like there's actually going to be like two, but it's all one camera pool. Like everybody's getting the same.
Is Law and Crime going to claim it and try to take you down? I think
Court TV is the main circulator for this one. But it's going to be interesting. Maybe I'll get my own demand letter.
And in live streaming all these trials, we get a real flavor for the vast distinction in how a trial runs depending on the nature of the judge. Emily here is pointing out the importance of the judge smacking down about these discovery shenanigans. And it's true. Sometimes you'll have some judges who'll just sit back and let the parties do whatever gamesmanship they want to engage in. And that's often, not always, but often reflective of how they run their courts. They either let people get away with crap or they don't. That just tends to be the nature of the judge.
And in this case, there have been, I don't even know how many motions to compel have been heard in this case. There are so many, to the point that they appointed a court-appointed conciliator to manage the discovery between them, and still, like, they have not been particularly successful with that. And also the conciliator, what's that?
I still can't pronounce that. I always think conciliary. I'm like, we got
I do. With a little bit nose.
I'm not even 100% confident if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Conciliatory?
Yes.
The conciliator. But I don't know. I'm just gonna roll with it, right?
But it's a bad sign. Isn't it a bad sign for the trial if they're letting them get away with so many games that we're going to see the same type of idiocy we saw in Rittenhouse,
gonna be spicy.
where it's just going to be like, let's fly by the seat of our pants and figure out what we're going to do, as it comes along. And the rules might vary depending on how strong an argument you make. And I'm not going to seem very consistent. I get very frustrated by that. The same way if you're a baseball fan, you want an umpire who's going to call the same strike zone all the time. And if you want to call call it always high. You want to give that high strike, fine. If you want to have a very wide strike zone all the time, that's fine. But just be consistent so we know what's going to happen, as opposed to morphing from one situation to another where we have no idea what you're doing. That's the sign of a poor judge, in my opinion. A poor trial. You want the consistency.
There's so much money in this trial. And there's so many attorneys. You've got a celebrity studded witness list. It is going to be, I think, the only way this case can ever be resolved in the public is to let the trial be public. I'm glad that they are.
Because who are some of the witnesses? Who are the witnesses you're expecting?
Elon Musk.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, he is. James Franco is another witness. Who is for what's his name from the MCU?
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany, yes, thank you.
He played Vision.
Yes.
They've got some spicy
Who's Paul Bettany? Which side is he on? Johnny Depp.
He's on Johnny Depp's side.
If they've already scheduled this and they've already summoned the witnesses, and I don't know if they have a schedule for the trial. I mean, postponing it or delaying it might be it'll let down the public, and I don't know how you can reorganize all this with all the celebrities. So there might be they might be playing on the fact that it would be virtually impossible to reschedule at this point to try to get away with chicanery before the trial.
Which they might very well be. In which case, they should either be sanctioned or the judge should not allow any of that photographic evidence in.
Yes.
And I could see the judge very real going, okay, we're going to trial. None of this.
I mean, look, strategically speaking, I'm doing that on purpose. Strategically speaking, exclude the photos, she'll just come in and testify regardless. So you lose the photographic evidence, but you'll still have the testimonial evidence. Yeah,
I think actually a better remedy would actually almost be to allow the photos in and to allow Johnny Depp's side to comment freely on the whole process and on the fact that you cannot trust those photos. Because even just looking at the photos from day to day after these injuries, how they've shifted around. It reminds me, actually, the more that I've thought about this, it reminds me of Robin Hood Men in Tights. what's his name? The king, who is like has a mole that's like shifting around on his face the entire time. Like it kind of reminds me, because it's like her bruise shifts from here to there to like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. There are a lot of questions.
It feels like she didn't have the person on set who does the consistency. Like they, when on set you have
supervisor.
The what?
Script supervisor.
Is that who does the consistency day to day?
Yeah. They take a picture of everybody and says, you're holding the drink in your wrong hand, or it's on the table.
In fairness to Amber Heard, I haven't seen these photos, but bruises do sometimes start to sag. The blood starts off high and then it starts to run down.
Yeah. Okay, so here it is. Announcement. David is pro Amber Heard.
No. Anybody who takes a dump on someone's bed is bad in my books. And then blames it on the dog. Whoa. You fart, you blame it on the dog, not your dump. You don't blame your own dump on the dog. That's just cowardice.
There was a guy I played water polo with in high school, because in high school I played on a men's water polo team because they didn't have a women's water polo team, and Title IX is a thing. But
not anymore. Ask Leah Thomas. Oh, sorry.
He would take a dump on the opposing team's floor in their locker room every single game. And I never understood it. I still don't understand it, but it's a thing. The pooping places, I don't understand. It's very odd.
Every game. Very strange.
It's very strange. Every game. You learn a lot when you're on my female friends didn't quite act the same way as the men's water polo team, but you learn a lot. I was well prepared to be a mother of boys. They don't.
Is there a rivalry between Team Heard and Team Depp in this thing?
I don't think rivalry is the right word. It's
not exactly rivalry. Probably more like a very, very passionately arguing sort of.
It's a Me Too. It's a Me Too fallout.
It's team.
Believe her, Me Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ugly. I mean, I think the first one who came out was Doug Stanhope, who came out on Johnny Depp's side. But I'm sorry, Johnny Depp has lost everything. I mean, if there's anybody, if he is correct in his claims, oh my God, he has genuinely suffered. I mean, we're talking $50 million contracts, kicked out of Fantastic Beasts. Meanwhile, she's just going right along, cast into every movie. Her career has done nothing but grow, while his has been completely contracted. And if it is proven to be a lie, how do you unring that bell? Because I feel like others should be punished as well. It is even J.K. Rowling for trying to stand up for the guy and say, hey, I don't know, let the courts decide. She got thrashed. So, she's already has her turf problem. Yeah. And then you have that problem. And it's just a sad, horrible.
Yeah. Well, and I will say that it's also come to my attention that since he was fired from his role as Captain Jack Sparrow, he still dresses up and goes to children's hospitals and acts as Captain Jack Sparrow. So like, that he's getting zero financial benefit for like kind of promoting that franchise for doing that. And considering anybody getting fired from any kind of a job, like, would you want to do anything related to that job afterwards? Probably not. So he's going out of his way to go dress up as Captain Jack Sparrow and act as him for the benefit of these children. It to me personally, that is pretty impactful. And I think that really speaks to his character as an individual. It doesn't necessarily prove or disprove anything as to the defamation in the lawsuit or
to me that proves
violence.
That proves to me he never hit her. There's no way. You can't. I'm Team Depp all the way. I don't want to hear from you Team Heard people, okay? Okay, Viva defending Amber all the time. I'm sick of hearing you coming here saying, oh my God, her bruises managed to fall down from her eye to her chin because that's the way blood flow. No, there's no blood flow like that, okay? Just not true.
She has no blood. You're saying she's bloodless, Joe, is that it?
But it's interesting because you see the difference between Johnny Depp still going out and doing legitimate charity work and Amber Heard lying about donating money to charity.
Yes.
It's like you see very different behavior on the two sides. And I think the problem is social media has lost nuance, but there can be a benefit of the doubt. Like, I lean towards believability, but when there are questions should be allowed to be asked. That's what attorneys do every day. It's what district attorneys do every day. Is there corroboration here? Can this be filed? It's why the Cosby case originally wasn't filed. Social media believes it should have been filed a decade later, but when you look at the charging decisions that have to be made, there wasn't corroboration sufficient for a charging decision, which is why they didn't do it. That doesn't mean you don't believe somebody. Believing somebody and proving it in court are two very different things. Yeah. And I think we've lost that nuance of discussion, because if you're like, well, this seems a little bit off, like with Sherry Papini's case, this seems a little bit off. People got screamed down for questioning her kidnapping. And here we are years later with her being charged by the feds for lying about her kidnapping. We have to be able to have enough nuance to have conversation of saying, I understand they're saying this happened. These things seem off. Can we have a conversation about it?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all one way or the other.
I'm predicting what I predicted from the beginning of the trial. Both are going to come out looking bad from the trial. It's going to be a nominal victory for either, if any.